Well, thank you for taking the time today. We really do appreciate it, and I appreciate your patience.
Yeah, for sure. Anytime.
And because I know we talked sometime last year when your last EP was coming out, One House Down. The last year has been pretty crazy for you. You did your Grand Ole Opry debut. The EP came out, which had massive success with Broken Heart Thing. Are you still kind of riding that high? Or are you kind of like a workhorse where you're like, okay, that's out, Opry's done, on to the next thing?
Definitely on to the next thing. You kind of have to be like intentional about, kind of celebrating and staying in those moments because I mean, you create this stuff so long ago. Like it's
Mm.
such a process after you finish the music for the project to be done. So I'm like already over it. I'm like onto the new music and I'm like, oh right, this is still new. This is still exciting. So I'm excited that Middle of the Bed is getting its kind of moment because it's one of my favorite songs off the project for sure. But I am, yeah, kind of in the middle of writing new music as well, which is cool too.
Oh, nice. And you just mentioned it. The follow-up single to Broken Heart Thing, Middle of the Bed, is officially out now, which is very exciting.
Mhm.
For anyone who hasn't heard it yet, the inspiration for the song, and I'm curious if you ever find it, because it tugs at the heartstrings. And I'm
Mhm.
curious if you ever find it, like, I guess, I don't know, difficult to be as vulnerable as you have been on these last couple of singles.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes I think it's a part of the job and it's the coolest thing. I think when you approach something with vulnerability, it relates to people. And I think that's what music is for, for you to hear a song go, I know exactly, I felt exactly that. And the more open you are about your own story, I feel like the more people can kind of relate to it and see their own story in it. So I think that it's worth it. There is been, moments for sure where I'm like, wow, that's like a lot to share. But I've been doing this so long that it doesn't super phase me as much anymore. I'm just kind of used to it, I guess.
Now, and I read somewhere that you called One House Down your most emotionally insightful project yet. And it might be a silly question, and you kind of just answered it, why it's important for you to be as open as you have been in the latest release. And you kind of touched on, hey, some new music is being done. So is that something you kind of aim towards? Like every release, you're like, okay, it was this emotional on this album. The next one, we've got to kick it in overdrive. And then the next project, just like make everyone weep.
I mean, not necessarily. I think it's like what serves the song best. And like I think when it comes to that subject matter, I think being open and honest is really powerful. And then I also think, like I always say, to bring, somebody to tears or somebody to really feel something, it's such a cool feeling. But also filling a dance floor and having people like have an amazing night and put their drinks in the air to your song is also a really amazing feeling. So I feel like I kind of like flippity flop between the two. And I have like a lot of like up tempo and fun songs as well in my catalog. But it's definitely fun as a songwriter to kind of get into like the nitty gritty of things and pull it apart and write something honest. I feel like it's pretty cool.
You mentioned that Middle of the Bed is one of or is your favorite from your latest project?
It's definitely one of my favorites. It
Okay.
probably is. I would say it's probably my favorite. I do
Okay.
love the Heart thing as well too, just with Destin. I love how that turned out and but definitely Middle of the Bed. It just feels unique. It feels something different that I haven't done before and sonically it's different and subject wise it's different and yeah, I just feel like it's captivating.
And I don't know if you can answer this for me, but because this is the second single, right? Broken Heart Thing came out, and then Middle of the Bed's the second single.
Mhm.
Did you have, because obviously when you put this together, I would think you probably had an idea of which songs were, I mean, I'm sure you love all of them, but
Mhm.
you probably had like your favorites.
Yeah.
When you choose which single goes out first, what is the process? Did you have to struggle between these two songs, or was it like an obvious choice that Broken Heart Thing followed by Middle of the Bed?
Yeah, I mean, it always is a struggle, and you're trying to figure out like what the first song really like this explains the project and how do you want to tell that story. Broken Heart Thing's also the first song on the project as well too. So it felt kind of like it was the beginning of it. And wanted to kind of start it with that, as well as having Dustin on it too. I was so excited. He said yes.
Mhm.
He wanted to be on the song that I was like, no, let's go with this one first. So it's pretty unanimous with me and my team. But with the second one, it's difficult. And sometimes you got to trust your gut. And then it's also like, what is streaming the best because you focus a lot on
Mm.
one. song and then the EP just kind of sits there. And so it's people are organically going to that project and replaying the one that they like the most. And so Middle of the Bed was by far the one that people kind of kept coming back to. And so that also comes into consideration.
And mentioning like streaming numbers, because I know you're doing phenomenally streaming wise. Do you still look at like getting singles on the radio as like as exciting as like, as it was back in the day?
Yeah, it really is. I think I'm really lucky to have had, the support with radio that I have for so many years. I'm like, I know it's so huge and there's just nothing like it in the world getting to like get in your car and hear your song on the radio. And growing up, I rode horses and listened to country radio in the barn practically nonstop. And so it's so like ingrained in me. Like I've just loved country radio my whole life and dreamed and prayed so much about like maybe one day, I'll be on the radio. And so it definitely never loses its shine for me.
It's pretty surreal, eh? And I mean, your other surreal moment, we talked about it earlier. Last year, you made your Grand Ole Opry debut. And you correct me if I'm wrong, maybe I misread this, but you're going to be back at the Opry House this Friday.
Yeah. We're playing it again on Friday, which is so cool.
Okay, so I have to ask because now that you've done it before,
Mhm.
are the nerves still there? Like when you go the first time, it's like, oh my God, I'm making my debut. This is a big deal. You're like, but now that you've done it, are you like, yeah, I got this?
No, it's definitely not like that. I will say I feel better going into
Yeah.
it than I did last time. I was so nervous last time and had so many people coming out, and I just felt like the way it's just such a huge moment. It was one
Hmm.
that I dreamed about for so long. It's been on the top of my bucket list, and just such a historical moment. I just didn't want to screw it up, like in some trip and fall or whatever it is. Like you're
Oh
like
no.
I want it to go perfect. I want everything to go right. And so I swear, like, I barely remember. I was so nervous. And so this time I'm excited to come back and be able to soak it in a different way and have done it before. But it's such like a friendly and warm and beautiful place. Like everybody that works there is so nice and they
Hmm.
know how much I think it means to the artist to be there. And so, yeah, I'm really excited to go back and maybe remember more because I'll be less scared.
I was just about to ask too until you mentioned, oh, I barely even remember it. I was gonna ask, did anything like how did that first performance go? But you were just lost in the moment, eh?
Yeah, I was. I mean, I definitely cried on stage. I remember saying that I live like 2,563 miles away from my family. And I moved to this town and sacrificed so much to be here for a moment like this to get to stand on the stage. And so I remember kind of getting a little weepy with that. I couldn't find my guitar. That's fun.
Oh no.
And so I was like, where's my guitar? And it was like in the dressing room because I'd brought it back to like practice with it and forgot to bring it.
Right.
So someone was running down the hallway to get the guitar and bring it back. So that was a little chaotic, but literally like the lights went down and my guitar was thrown into my hand. So we
And
just
then
in the nick of time made it.
if you couldn't find your guitar, do you struggle to play? And I know this is really silly, but do you find it hard to play other people's guitars? Like I know it's the same
Yeah.
thing, but like there are subtle differences. So if someone were to hand you someone else's guitar, do you think it would have been like, oh God, you think
Yes.
that would have made it a little worse?
Yeah, I don't know what that is too, because yeah, they're all kind of the same. But yeah, when I have my guitar, I'm like, okay, I know. I don't know. It just you feel way more comfortable. But yeah, I don't know. That's so true. I would have been pretty shook about that.
It's like driving your own car, right? And then you have to get into a rental, and it's like, especially newer cars, and it's like you get in these 2025s, and they've got cameras, like iPads on the dash. I'm in
Yeah.
a little 2012. I'm
Yeah.
still living back in the day with CD CD player,
Yeah.
so I get a new car. I'm like, no,
Well, I know how to do this totally. Or when they have the dial to like shift the gears. Have you seen that? And I can't
no.
shift and it's like up there and it's like a dial to turn it into drive. And I'm like, what is happening? I don't like
I
that.
know. And you know what, too? I was trying to turn down because our station vehicle is like a brand new car. And I was trying to find the volume button because on my car, it's 2012. So it's right in the middle of the console. It's a little knob. You turn it down.
Couldn't
I
find
spent
it.
10 minutes trying to find because I was going through the drive through to order just to get a coffee and I couldn't turn down the volume
Yeah.
in my car.
Oh,
I'm like,
alarm
like,
clock, please.
like, oh my God. And speaking of cars, you're well, I don't know if you'll actually be taking a car, but you're also hitting the road this summer too, eh?
Yeah, we've got tons of shows in Canada this year, which I'm so excited about. Kind of all over the place, which is really cool. And it kind of kicks off next week. So I'm headed up to Toronto to rehearse a bit and do a couple things. And then, yeah, our first show kicks off in Sarnia, Ontario. So we're excited.
Yep, and I was actually going to mention that too because I think because we're in Timmins, so we're way up north. So Sarnia is 9 hours, 10 hours away.
The other
But
way.
it is my neck of the woods. I grew up in London, so it's
Oh.
my neck of the woods. That's going to be June 19th, good old Sarnia, and I think tickets available at madelinemerlo.com/tour.
Mm-hmm.
So get your tickets.
Tickets, do it.
Once this goes up on Facebook, it'll make sense. I'm pointing at whoever's watching. Not you. I assume you don't have to buy your own tickets to go see yourself.
No,
No,
no.
one of the
Me.
perks.
Sometimes they're like, "Who are you?" I'm like, "I'm playing this show tonight," you
Have,
know?
have you ever actually had that happen? Like you were going up on stage and security were just doing their job and they were like, no, this is for the artist and they kicked you off?
Sometimes, yeah, because they give you like wristbands or like a pass or something, and then I lose everything. So I'll like lose the
Okay.
pass, and then I'll try to get back into backstage, and they're like, "You need your pass," and I'm like, "This is like my face, like on the thing,
That's
like
so funny.
same face," and they're
Maybe
like, "Okay," I'm like,
maybe
"Thank you."
they had your coffee name. Maybe they thought it was Maddox
Yeah, I thought it was
before.
Maddox, maybe, yeah. Yeah.
Awesome, Alan. Well, thank you so much for taking the time today. Congrats on all the success so far. And thank you for your patience as we dealt with weird phone lines.
Absolutely, all good. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Awesome.
Good one.
Awesome. You have a great day, okay?
Yeah, you too. Bye.
Okay, thanks, Madeline. Bye.